Why should I ignore it? Ten eerste de borsten.
Recently, Dateline told you how they teach sex education in the Netherlands, which, despite its permissive reputation for prostitution and soft drugs, has had remarkable success reducing teen pregnancy.
How many teenage pregnancies are you aware of in your 17 years teaching?
Only one.
Just one?
Yes, one.
We invited these Rocklin parents, students, and school officials to look at our story as a study in contrast.
When did you first have sex? How old were you?
15.
Were you protected the first time?
Yeah, I used condoms.
But Dutch teenagers don't just practice safe sex, they go double Dutch.
The pill is against pregnancy and condom against sickness, diseases.
They're taught to use both the pill and the condom, and it works. The Netherlands has the lowest rate of teen pregnancy in the industrialized world. The United States has the highest. Would double Dutch work here?
I think the teens in the Netherlands say, well, they've given me this great responsibility. They're treating me like an adult. Why don't I act like an adult and be responsible?
You think that would work that way?
I think it would work.
Why it works in Netherlands is because they say, you are old enough. You know, when you're 13, 14 years old, you're old enough to make your own choices and make your choices, and you know the consequences. Now it's up to you.
It seems like sex education in high school is kind of lost, because we're 16, 17, 15 now, and you should start at a younger age. You're teaching us all the details now. So what? I knew this for the past 4 years.
In addition to 1 million teen pregnancies, each year 3 million adolescents contract a sexually transmitted disease, like chlamydia, gonorrhea, herpes, syphilis, or HIV. No wonder parents are putting their faith in Just Say No. Melanie Wallington teaches Rocklin High's Family Life course.
I teach that abstinence is the 100% method. That's the 100% way to protect yourself against HIV, STDs, getting pregnant. I teach them that it's the 100% way to protect their value and their self-worth and their self-esteem.
Does anybody have a problem with stressing abstinence?
I think you need further education, though. Yeah, abstinence is not the only way. And they know it's not the only way.
Reality is the key word.
The reality is teenagers are having sex. They need to know how to protect themselves.
Do we tell them what condoms are and how to get them and how to use them?
In my opinion, yes, we do.
In your school?
That's the discussion that's going on.
And the prevailing opinion here in Rocklin and in many American communities is, we don't.
I would be amazed if you asked these young people, not anybody here would say they didn't know where to get a condom. I think that's kind of a given. At this age, most of these young people know exactly where to go if they want to get birth control. I don't think it's necessarily something we have to hand out in the schools.
But do they know how to use it?
Well, the directions are right on the package.
But in the heat of the moment, are you going to take time out to read the directions on the package? I don't think most people would.
Check this out.
This popular video featuring Magic Johnson and Arsenio Hall is not about basketball.
This is a lubricated condom.
It shows how to use a condom, when to put it on,
You can only place a condom on an erect penis.
how to put it on,
Roll it down, making sure
How to
there's
take
no
it
air
off.
in it, holding it by the base. So
This
that
kind of
nothing
video
comes
might
out.
be shown in classrooms where students get what educators call comprehensive sex education, which includes information about contraception.
You guys actually said the word, love.
But it won't play in Rocklin, not in Miss Wallington's class.
Could you see yourself teaching that science course that the science teacher in the Netherlands taught, with the anatomy, with the condom balloon and so forth?
I don't trivialize as much. I do not have a condom in my hand, and I don't take it out of the package, and I don't demonstrate a condom usage. I explain how to use a condom correctly, but I don't demonstrate a condom
Verbally, you just no show and tell.
That's right.
Why would that be over a line?
That's what this community has decided is over a line.
The argument on one side of the line goes, high school-age kids today are sexually active, whether parents know it or not, or like it or not. And and that the consequences of unprotected sex are too serious to leave them in the dark. On the other side are those who say giving kids condoms or even information about condoms is the same as condoning sex.
We need to expect them to be abstinent. We raise the level of expectation.
You're saying that the problem is that we don't expect enough of our children.
I think so. I think that we just say, well, you know, you're kids and you're going to be sexually active. And I don't think that's necessarily true. We have drug programs in our school that say, don't get involved in this. It's risky behavior. Say no. Why are we afraid to expect that of our children?
We've used DARE a lot as a comparison. And DARE is a drug prevention program, and one of the things that DARE does is it takes all the mystery out of drugs for the kids. It answers all of the possible questions they could have about drugs. But I think the difference between human sexuality and drugs is that we never want our kids to do drugs. We never want them to have a healthy drug life. At some point, we want our children to grow up and be happy, healthy, sexual adult beings in a relationship.
Are parents so insecure that even though they are teaching their child about abstinence, as soon as their child hears about condoms at school, do they think that everything they've been teaching their child for the past 17 years is just going to shatter and they're going to go out and have sex?
Yes.
Absolutely. We did a little survey among our audience of concerned parents and faculty and 10th graders and found some interesting results.
How many of you would like your children to stay abstinent through high school?
Practically everyone agreed.
How many think, realistically, most kids will stay abstinent until the end of high school?
We had some trouble defining what I meant by most.
Most is most. No. More than less.
The surprising fact was how few people expected most Rocklin kids to actually remain abstinent until they finished high school.
Okay, kids only. How many think that most kids will stay abstinent until the end of their high school years here at Rocklin High School?
And none of the kids did.
This is not a vote of confidence in abstinence.
The students may know what they're talking about. According to a recent survey, more than half of high school-age kids are sexually active. But the news isn't all bad. After years of steadily rising sexual activity among teens, the trend has begun to level off in recent years. Maybe some kids are getting the message. But what exactly is that message?
I guess I would like what I'm teaching at home to be reinforced in the schools.
Isn't that I would like to see what I'm teaching at home reinforced in the schools? Wouldn't we all love to see that?
I'm not trying to impart my value structure on them, and I don't want them imparting their value structure on me. I do believe that children should delay the onset of their sexual activity. I don't care whether my children are sexually active when they reach the point that they are in a healthy, caring, loving, long-term relationship. If that's before they're married, that's fine with me, and it is truly none of my business.
The new battle isn't whether sex should be taught at school, but whether values should.
The big clap seems to be, we can't agree on what to teach the kids in school. How about teaching the parents how to teach the kids at home, and they can teach their own values?
Rocklin High School's sprawling campus is less than 2 years old. This is a community that values education. Local taxpayers will be paying for their state-of-the-art facilities well into the 21st century. But even in this model of modern education, 60 members of the sophomore class are getting sex education the old-fashioned way, at home.
We as parents do a horrible job in this country on sex education. But if you're trying to rely on the schools to teach sex education as we know it in our country, we have failed.
The night before last, the Rocklin School Board again took up sex education in a session that lasted past midnight and ended divided as ever. But it's not